Thanks for tuning into this broadcast. What we are trying to do now over the course of the next few days is try and focus on companies in which there has been new or substantial institutional interest that has gotten formed. Now, Blue Jet Healthcare is a company in focus. Aside of a specialized pharmaceutical fund which owns the stock in some way, we also spoke to the portfolio management services division of JM Financial, Vinay Singh, who also owns Blue Jet in their portfolio. So let's get in Mr. VK Singh, the CEO of the company, to try and tell us a bit more about Blue Jet. What do they do and what are the growth targets going ahead? Mr. Singh, great having you. Thanks for taking the time out. Can you tell us a bit about Blue Jet Healthcare? I believe you have 3 lines of businesses. Would love to understand in depth what the company is all about and what are the targets going ahead.
Very good. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you here. Blue Jet should be seen as a very boutique CDMO. The company has a legacy of about 55 years, and we have been in existence for about 55 years. Primarily, performance chemical company orientated towards the healthcare segment. So we have 3 broad product verticals. We have the contrast media. Contrast media is a part of the diagnostic segment, which is, a subset of the medtech industry. Then we have the high intensity sweetener segment. And in that segment, our focus is more towards the extremely, MNC driven sticky part of the business. That's the beverage and the FMCG sector. And then we have a third segment, which is typically hardcore chemical CDMO business, where we focus on manufacturing intermediates to APIs and sometimes the final APIs, depending upon customer requirement and demand. I would say that the segments that we are in are very niche, and all of them are sunrise segments. If you look at contrast media, what we supply goes into diagnostics, and diagnostics is an overall part of the medtech industry with a very high element of drug and device coupling because they get into the machines, and it's the contrast media coupled with the efficiency of the machine that provides a clear image of the body when we are getting into some diagnostic procedure like a CT scan or MRI. This market is very highly underpenetrated, and I think there are good tailwinds as far as opportunities for growth is concerned. If you look at our second segment, where we are in the high intensity sweetener segment, that segment also, the part of that segment that we are operating in, that's the MNC driven FMCG segment. I think there's a lot of stickiness in that business, and most of the business is, contract driven. So we see good amount of visibility of this business for the next several years. The third segment, CDMO, that's a big market. That's an $80-90 billion opportunity, and we have some extremely good customer lock-ins, businesses and opportunities and launches that are backed by long-term contracts and supply agreements. And here our focus again is towards a niche, which is cardiovascular, oncology, and CNS. So I think that the segments that we are in and we are operating, all these segments are, high growth segments. So we believe that we are in extremely good space, particularly in contrast media, where the industry is more than 100-year-old, but has still not witnessed genericization. So I think it's a very good space to be in.
If I'm not wrong, contrast media is between 65 and 70%. I heard you say that you laid emphasis there. Is this the part of the business that will drive growth for the next 2 or 3 years? Or could pharma intermediates, and I hear that CDMO could finally see some bit of green shoots or blue skies yet again in the second half of the year, but it's only about 14-15% of your business, if I'm not wrong. So what drives business, Mr. Singh, over the course of the next 2-3 years?
If you, just step back and see, then the DNA of the contrast media business, the way we do, and the CDMO part of the business, they are both same.
Okay.
And the products that we are in, the chemistry platforms are common and shared. But this is very true that contrast media will continue to be the mainstay of the company. Having said that, what you mentioned is also true that there's a lot of traction that we are seeing in the CDMO part because of various sorts of tailwinds. Uh, there is a China plus one, so we see good opportunities. We see a lot of increase in the RFPs. Uh, Besides that, whatever was incubated about 3 to 4 years back, because we support a lot of our clients in their NC development, that is leading to getting to a stage where that's going to fructify and get to the commercial stage. So having said that, we believe that the third segment, that's the CDMO segment, or the pharma intermediate segment, that should see some very good traction. So while contrast media will continue to be the mainstay, I think the PI and sweetener segment both will be growing, and the percentages would balance a little bit.
So you mean not too much of a deviation from where the business mix is currently? Is that a fair assessment of your statement?
There will be a change of the percentage of the mix, which does not mean that contrast media will not continue to be the mainstay of the company.
Okay, but it may not be 65-70%, it could be slightly lower.
Indeed, yes.
So does the pharma intermediate segment go higher? Because I believe you have some new launches, some capacities out there.
We have some very good launches in the offing, and because of which we believe that, so we as a policy refrain from giving any guidance, but what I would not shy from saying is that this could very well be a watershed year.
FY25 could be a watershed year, you're saying? Okay, and just to get clarity there, and then I'll move on to, of course, the different segments as well. But when you say it's a watershed year, it's in terms of the performance showing in the numbers as well, or would you believe that this will be the building blocks of what enables you to show the performance starting FY26?
Both.
Both. Okay, fine. Noted. On the contrast media segment, Mr. Singh, there is. I believe you've spoken about forward integration in contrast media. At the same time, there's also talk of backward integration, whether in contrast media or the other segments, I'm not quite sure. So I would love to get some clarity there. And would a larger part of the capex that you're doing, I believe 200 crores FY25, 200 crores FY26, is it larger towards the contrast media, or is it happening across the segments?
So, there is in contrast media or any segment, there is a certain baseline growth. That's something like a secular growth.
Okay.
And in contrast media also, there is going to be some secular growth because the segment itself is growing. But then the way our business is designed, we are supplying intermediates. And the moment we supply an advanced intermediate, the next level, we get a quantum jump in the value, right? So we should be able to beat the industry growth rate. And because of the forward integration play that's available to us, and because of the customer lock-ins that we have, so I guess the next few years are good.
Okay. But the capex sorry, I'm just trying to get the clarity. This capex that you're doing, some of it is coming on stream, but you're doing 200 crores of capex, if I'm not wrong, each year for the next 2 years as well, just like your way you did in FY24. Is it happening concentrated in a particular segment?
I think FY24 was 230 or 250 crores.
Okay.
But to be a bit conservative, I would say that the baseline capex will be year on year 200 crores.
Okay.
Give or take, could be slightly more as well. But I think it's a safe assumption that the baseline capex will be 200 crores. It's not going to be heavily orientated towards contrast media. It's going to be, evenly spread towards all the segments.
Okay.
However, having said that, we must clarify that the way our plants are designed, the capacities are fungible at the reactor level.
Okay.
It's not that and at the outset, I said that we often share common chemistry platforms. So it's not that one capacity cannot be used for something else. It is just that while the DNA or the way the business is done with clients, it is very similar across the three segments. It's just that because of a predominance of a particular sector, just for ease of communication, we have divided them into three product categories.